Dzień dobry meatheads, let's go. You see the text. Tenders are back on the grill for this absolute meat locker, so make sure to grill the sub button and keep grilling and chilling. I am a lock.
UFC Mid, meat boy brings the beefy locks. Stepping in the octagon, fighters checking clocks. Watching the sausage king, grilling up the scene. Chat beef versus leech, who's the octagon fiend? Slugger knocks, scraps, brawls on pay-per-view. Hands like hands, gonna break him in two. Meat boy commentary, locks and laughs. Every punch a joke, every hit a gaff. Locks and laughs, MMA madness. Subscribers know it's full of radness. Mid-tier warriors bringing beef to the ring. Meat boy MMA, the heavyweight king. Chef throws a left, Leech goes right. A butcher shot brawl deep into the night. Marcin's got that commentary gold. Slicing up the meat, spicy and bold.
That polar bear smells that man's meat. That's why he's doing this.
Let's go, boys. UFC Mid is this week, and if you're new here, we're Meat Boy MMA. If you're looking for locks and laughs, this is the place to be. And obviously, you'll notice it's a Glansburg mission for your boy this week. Meat popped hot for the Martinellis, so he will not be here, but we don't miss breakdowns. We don't miss UFC cards. Haven't missed one since June of 2020, so don't plan on starting now. And if there was ever a card to skip, this would be the one, because UFC Mid is what we are calling it. The UFC abandoned giving their non-pay-per-views unique titles a long time ago, but weren't afraid to get the appropriate labels that they will refuse to acknowledge. I mean, UFC Trash, we broke down UFC Abysmal a few weeks ago, and now it's UFC Mid, and it probably would have got a harsher title if Chepe Mariscal wasn't saving this card. But nonetheless, we'll quickly recap last week. I'll quickly recap last week. UFC on ABC 7, it was from Fight Island. The meat lock was Figueiredo, and it was an easy light work W for our boy Figgy. He's the first dude to ever drop Cheeto Vera, and we saw Sean O'Malley land that flush knee on him, and that didn't even drop him yet. Figgy was able to send him to the canvas, so pretty amazing stuff. It really showcases the power that Figgy has at bantamweight, and the dude is surging, maybe only one fight away from a title fight. And it was easy light work, unanimous decision meat lock. Current balance now is 3,761. Lifetime record is 103 and 58. So you see the percentage that the meat lock is cashing at. But nonetheless, both Meat and Boy have kind of been going off these last 2 weeks. Meat went 5-3 last week, 11-5 throughout the last two, and your boy went 6-2, 13-3 throughout the last 2 weeks. So if you're just now catching wind of Meat Boy MMA, you're catching it at a good time. So let's go right to the meat lock of this week. Not a lot to recap without meat, obviously, so we'll jump straight into this week's locks. I know that's why you're here anyway. So we're going to be keeping it simple with this meat lock this week. It's the meat event. It's one of the few interesting fights on this card, and it's a rematch. Our boy Marcin Tybura, a.k.a. our Polish brother, and is taking on Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, who is the younger fighter, right? He's just under 30. Tybura's pushing near 40. Usually the younger guy wins in rematches, but it's obviously a dog lock. You see the text. Marcin Tybura is going to absolutely smoke the polar bear, just like he did the last time. And it was easy light work in a fight last time that people thought Sergey was going to win. So Tybura loves to sneak onto these main event Apex fights, and oftentimes as a dog, and Meat Boy MMA, you know we love to cash when that is the case. So we like him at plus 136 this week. Tapology at 2 is also rolling with Meat Boys, and one of those rare ones where Tapology is backing a different fighter other than Vegas, but the line keeps swelling in favor of Polar Bear, so we're going to wait till the last second, see what that looks like. I mean, maybe Tybura around plus 160 by the time this thing cashes on Saturday, so should be interesting. We like Tybura, though. I mean, he's just as well-rounded as Sergey, and his defensive grappling, his ability to make fights ugly is very similar stylistically to what Sergey offers, but we just like Tybura in all aspects to be a little bit better than Sergey, even though he's younger, even though he's a little bit bigger. Tybura always cashes as a dog, so we're gonna be keeping it simple, throwing down 100. It's gonna net 136, get us our 104th meat lock, third in a row, keep the streak well alive. So let us know in the comments if you are rolling with Tybura as a dog lock too, or do you think Polar Bear has some life? But nonetheless, it's another interesting one here. It's Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan Devil, taking on the fighter from the Netherlands, Jarno Arons, and you see Meat's take on the left, right? Meat taking Youssef Zalal on this one. He's taking the Moroccan Devil, and his rationale is essentially that Youssef has truly leveled up. I mean, this guy is super well-rounded. He might even be a top contender soon, and he's had a lot of solid finishes lately, which was good to see, because remember, this is a dude who was 4-3-1 in the UFC, but started 3-0 and then didn't win any of his next 4 contests. He gets cut, gets sent over to Sparta Combat and gets 3 first-round finishes. The UFC's like, okay, Yusuf Salal, let's take him back. As soon as he comes back, he gets a nice, beautiful finish over Billy Quarantillo, who is a dude that rarely gets finished. So it's very impressive for Yusuf and the return he's made. And usually, we always say it all the time, the matchmakers know what they're doing, right? And in a fight like this, Jarno Aarons is a very tough guy. He's a well-rounded fighter, not a lot of obvious deficiencies, but this should be a setup. Another, I don't call it a rebound win for Zalal, but just another light work victory for him to get his second UFC tenure back on track. Because when this dude first started at 3-0, I mean, this was a guy that people were saying could be a future champ, and it got derailed pretty quickly. He lost to Ilia Topuria, he lost to Sean Woodson, he lost to Sting, and obviously the Sting loss doesn't look good, but Sean the Sniper Woodson's peaking, and Ilya's obviously champ, so Zalal probably just was rushed a little too quickly, and maybe now is his time to actually peak in the UFC. So he's taking on Jarno, who is 1-2 in the UFC. He just picked up his first win as a dog over Steven Wynn, but that's Steven Wynn, and this is Yusuf Zalal. So I'm with Meat on this one. I like Yusuf Zalal to maybe pick up a finish, but I'm probably going to be scoping Yusuf by decision, and 95% of Tapology is rolling with the Moroccan Devil. Only 5% is rolling with the Dutch Jarno, but I like Zalal probably by decision because Jarno's tough. He's got an iron chin. He can eat a lot of shots, and if Yusuf is unable to put him out early, which he's been doing to recent opponents, he also has the gas tank and the resolve to go 15 minutes and make it a grindy decision if he needs to. So I like Zalal by decision. Meat obviously has Zalal as well. We'll keep it going. I'm only breaking down 4 this week, guys, because this card is pretty scrappy, and even deciding on which 4 to break down was difficult, but 0 difficulty here. It's the fight of the card, besides our Polish brother. It's Chepe Mariscal taking on the Leech Damon Jackson, and we are beyond stoked for this one because we've been screaming Chepe Mariscal's praises for a long time now. I mean, this is a dude who is undefeated in the UFC, 3-0. Seems like he's a dog every single time besides today, and his only losses are to very tough guys. I mean, check out these losses. Joe Anderson Brito, Steve Garcia, Bryce Mitchell, and Gregor Gillespie. I mean, those are all very tough dudes, and we know this guy. I mean, take a look at Meat's rationale, right? He's picking Chepe. He likes him because he's looking better than ever, and there's no other way to put it. Every time we see Chepe Mariscal, he's noticeably leveling up, and he's probably a true eventual top 5 contender, at least according to Meat, and he's a true sleeper in the division. I truly agree with Meat on that one, because this dude's a longtime training partner of Justin Gaethje, and Meat thinks that that's enough to earn him a first-round, easy light work finish. And it's one that, unfortunately, Chepe is finally getting the respect from the odds makers. He's a minus 210 favorite in this one, and we're no longer getting the Chepe plus 160 dog range, which we've seemingly been getting the last couple of fights. But he's taken on Damon the Leech Jackson, who we have a lot of respect for. I mean, the Leech is a true OG, and a dude who is 23-6-1, 6'4", 1-1 in the UFC, and much like Yusuf Zalal, is a guy who has had 2 separate tenures, right? He started his career many, many years back, did not come out strong, gets cut, earns his way back to the promotion, and from there was picking up win after win, as dogs too, but he's 1-2 in his last 3. His only recent win was a split decision over Alex Hernandez, who knows how impressive of a win that is, but nonetheless, Damon is always dangerous. I mean, the dude is a true levels test for anyone in the UFC, and Chepe, we just think, is ready for this level, even though we have a lot of respect for the Leech. So, again, at minus 210, it's not as ideal as what we've been getting from Chepe before, but nonetheless, Tapology's rolling with Chepe Mariscal, 82%, mostly beige, although there is some brown for the KO, and only 18% is rolling with the Leech. So, I'm picking Chepe. I'm with Meat all the way. Haven't picked against Chepe Mariscal once, and every single time this dude has been a dog in the UFC, he's cashed. So now that the odds makers are with him, it's like, can he also cash as a favorite? Time will tell. Meat thinks he will. Tapology thinks he will. I think he will as well. Not sure he picks up a finish. I mean, Meat, you see, is obviously bullish on that first-round KO against the Leech, but, I mean, the Leech is tough as nails. So if Chepe can go out and get a light work finish, then please start nosing this dude, because this guy is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm going to go decision. I think this could be maybe close because Damon Jackson is very good and is a solid levels test, but Chepe is that dude. Can't abandon him now, and I like him to get this one done over the Leech. So let us know in the comments if you agree with that rationale, if you're taking Chepe too, or are we sleeping on the Leech? And lastly, again, we're only breaking down 4 this week, boys. It's a scrapper. It's UFC Mid, so if you're already this far in, appreciate you grilling and chilling. Usually we have more breakdowns to offer, but it's a UFC midder here, and it's the last fight of the night. It's Chris Gutierrez, El Guapo, taking on Quang Le, and this was originally supposed to be Chris Gutierrez versus Javid Basharat. The Rat had to pull out and insert Quang Le, who was supposed to be making his debut in Contender Series in a month, but the matchmakers needed an opponent for El Guapo, and suddenly he finds himself in the co-main of this UFC mid card. And obviously, you see who Meat is taking. He's taking Quang Le, and he's been bullish on this kid. He's been excited about this dude's Contender Series opportunity, and he's been keeping his eye on him over in LFA, where this guy has been on an absolute tear. I mean, he's 8-0, he's undefeated, and Chris Gutierrez, I mean, you see Meat's rationale. He really fumbled in that last fight against Song Yadong, and he's 1-2 in his last 3, similar to the Leech, and got smoked by Song recently, got smoked by Pedro Munoz, and that one kind of rubbed us the wrong way mostly because we thought that he'd be able to get that one done, but he truly got smoked. And when you really inspect the wins of Chris Gutierrez, I mean, they're not great, right? He beat a peaked Frankie Edgar. He took out Andre Ewell. He beat Felipe Colares, rest in peace, and he took out Dana Bakari. So it's like not the greatest of wins for Gutierrez, and Meat likes that Quang Le's undefeated. This guy does not know how to lose. So Kung Le, his last point, Kung Le is the GOAT, and we'll see if Quang Le is able to keep that moniker intact. But nonetheless, Chris Gutierrez is minus 340. Tapology there is no Tapology because this fight literally just got announced, and it's a true last-second scrapper. But in this one, I like Chris Gutierrez to probably get this one done, although at minus 340, that seems way too expensive. Quang Le has the unknown factor. The dude is undefeated, and he was a true standout in LFA with no real weaknesses. So Chris Gutierrez is in for his money. I mean, this kid is hungry. This kid is mean, and we've seen El Guapo fumble before. But for Meat Boy's sake, I'll take Chris Gutierrez, a.k.a. El Guapo, to probably pick up a decision in this one. The leg kicks will probably be crucial. I mean, we know Chris Gutierrez is a guy who has the gnarliest leg kicks around. So Quang Le is likely to eat a bunch of those, and I like Chris Gutierrez to be able to add enough strikes into this contest to earn him the victory. But nonetheless, boys, that's it. UFC Mid, we broke down 4, and again, Tybura is the meatlock. We took out Jarno versus the Moroccan Devil, Leech Chepe, and lastly Kung Le versus Chris Gutierrez. So let us know if you agree with the meatlock. Are we keeping the streak intact? Did my best, boys. Next week, Meat is obviously back, and it's a unique card and a fun one. So if you're new here, appreciate you growing, chilling with the boys, and see you next week.